out there on Facebook, on Instagram, on everywhere else, YouTube. My name's Ian Mack, and today we've got the one and only Phil Fletcher. Hiya, Phil.
Hello, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, Bebo, and everybody in between. Welcome to Ian Mack's Facebook Live.
That's a good introduction. I don't normally get an introduction.
You can have that.
Can I have that? Can I,
Yeah.
I can start the recording and do that. That's brilliant.
I'll do an answering machine message later as well.
Yeah. Can I have those glasses as well? They're better shape than mine.
Well, there's no lenses in them because of the reflections.
Oh, yeah. Is that better?
Go behind the camera, it'd be better.
Oh, are they? I never thought of that. Funny enough, I sound better with the mic off.
Well, the beauty of today, are we live to the nation?
We are live to the nation, Phil.
Hello, the nation. The best thing about today's my favourite day of the year, though, would you believe? Because the clocks go forward, which means you can start your lunchtime drinking quicker. So I'll just pour a can of bitter to prepare for this lovely chat. I find it better to be anaesthetised before speaking to Ian.
You've heard that, have you? It does.
Ronnie told me.
Did you really?
No, he didn't really. We don't speak. So I've got a lovely pint of bitter, and I'm prepared to answer any questions you have for me, Ian. So take it away, my dear.
Okay. For the very few out there that don't know you then, Phil, and I'd love to know myself, where did it all begin? Phil Fletcher into puppetry and puppets. What was the very beginning?
I started making puppets when I was a little tiny kid out of envelopes and bits of rubbish and paper and all that sort of tat you can find at home. And then when I was 11, we got a sewing machine and I went to Wigan and bought some fur and I made my first cloth puppet when I was 11 called Josh. And I've done it ever since. And that was in 1988. I started making cloth puppets in the same way that I still make them. And I started doing kids' birthday parties when I was 11. So I sort of was semi-pro at 11. Earning money doing kids' birthday parties and what have you. And I did live cabaret then for 20 odd years before I started doing telly. And I've been doing telly for 12 years, more or less, full time. But prior to that, I did a few bits of local telly, bits and bats of nonsense. But I've been full time with the BBC for 12 years nearly.
Well, can we step back a little bit on there? So you started making cloth puppets when you was 11 years old.
Yeah.
So what was your inspiration for that, Phil?
I can only imagine it was watching the Muppets and watching Emu and watching Orville and all that on the telly, because obviously back then there was no internet, there was no way to do any research. I didn't do any sort of, I never wrote to people. I must have just been influenced by the television, but I can't remember. I literally have no memory before doing puppets.
Okay. So
it's not the best story, but it's the truth.
It's almost just born into you then, you could say.
Yeah, well, I've done it longer than I didn't do it, let's say.
Yeah. And okay, your process for the first cloth puppets then, because I know when I started, I know far more later, I was more like, when I started.
Years old.
Yeah, years old. Yeah, BC, before COVID, and probably before Christ. But it's a learning curve. And
yeah.
Fortunately, nowadays there's the internet where you
yes.
But you wouldn't have had that luxury, would you?
No, I got some fur from Wigan, a little craft shop called Times Craft Shop, which has not been there for about 25 years. And I made the first puppet. I basically just folded it and I sewed a shape, turned it back inside out, and it was basically a puppet. Now, when I look back, I had the fur pile going in the wrong direction. So the end of the nose is all the fur's back in on itself. So you learn from that point on, I've always had my fur going the other way, the correct way. So every puppet you learn, but that was the first one I ever made with no prompting, I had no design for it. I had no clue what I was doing while I was doing it. It's madness. Exactly. Well, I'm not much different now, but nowadays I know what I'm doing. I've got this system, but I rarely design stuff now. When I made this guy, I didn't know what I was making until it was finished. I just start doing things, adding things, making something. And Bob's your uncle. You've got Piss Stain.
What was his name again? Sorry.
Piss Stain.
You can't say that on there, I think.
I've said it twice, and it's not my fault. That's his name.
That's right. Dare I ask what his friend's called?
This fellow's not his friend. They don't get on. This is Arthur. But Arthur is a drinker. He's 41. He's got a drink problem, and he does tend to mess himself, and that is his catchphrase. And he's got a Bruce Forsyth type voice. I'll put him on later and do a demonstration of him messing himself. It's a bit early for a bit of trouser mess so early in the play.
It is really. It's lunchtime for many people, so it may put them off there.
It was lunchtime an hour ago. That's all over now. The clocks have gone. It's nearly tea time. Cheers.
Yeah, but if you forget to alter your clocks, you can have 2 tea times, and you can start drinking an hour earlier.
Twice.
And finish an hour later with the other clock.
I might put the clocks back again in a minute. And after this, I'll change the clocks back.
Then we can start again.
I'll put them back to tomorrow.
I know, yeah. We might get some sense out of me, or you.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind. If anyone has any questions in the comments, do ask them, because I'm always keen to answer unsolicited questions.
I'm going to have a look on the comments now.
Catchphrase. And he's got a Bruce Forsyth type voice. Oh, I can hear myself there. I can hear myself. Messing himself. It's a bit early for a bit of...
Oh, hang on, Phil.
He's messing himself. That's my head all the time, hearing my own voice.
I bet it is, actually. I bet it is. Yeah. So a bit of a strange question. So you made a puppet and then you decided you're going to go out and perform at birthday
Yes, I made a few puppets. I made that one and I just made about half a dozen or something. I made a wolf. I made some little pigs in the sooty style. And I used to do 3 little pigs in my show. So I made some cardboard houses and painted them. I did my first ever live show was in the pulpit in church. I used the pulpit as a booth and I did the Her and the Tortoise. That was my first ever live show. And I started doing the other shows when I was 11 and Bob's Your Uncle. Still doing it, really.
Yeah. Joe Taylor's just fired a question up saying, will you be doing Sweep again in the new series?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure. But yes, I'll be working on it. I'm probably in some capacity. Richard and I are in touch constantly about future things. So there's a good chance I'll be working on that show in some capacity. I did enjoy playing Sweep. That was a bucket list gig for me, because I've always been a big Sooty fan. And when Richard rang me up to see if I was available to play Sweep, I said, I'll make myself available, which I did.
And the rest is history.
It is. I can retire now. It was great fun playing Sweep. It was a nice change, actually, from playing Hacker, because he doesn't speak English, Sweep. You don't really have to worry about thinking ahead of your ad-libs. With Hacker, it's you're constantly thinking about what your ad-lib's going to be or your lines. But with Sweep, it does have written lines, by the way. He is scripted.
Really?
And the squeak, you use a reed to do his squeak. So you put that in your mouth. The squeak isn't in the puppet. So you do read the lines through the reed, so you can get a semblance of what he's saying because of the pacing and the... it doesn't just squeak, squeak, squeak randomly like Gordon the Gopher would have done. He has got a vocal pattern through the reed. But you don't need to ad-lib, which is good with Sweep. You don't have to worry about thinking of jokes. Because if it's not rehearsed, you don't know what he said.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is quite interesting and a lot of respect for is the fact you mentioned ad-libbing there. You're live every day and you're literally ad-libbing all the while, aren't you? So
it's my favourite thing about the job as Hacker, the ad-libbing, because you don't know what people are going to say. You don't know what the kids are going to email in. You don't know if something's going to go wrong. You don't know if the show's not going to start. You don't know if something's going to fall over and lamp you on the head, which it often does. As a puppeteer, you're always getting things dropped on you because you're on the floor. It's the curse of the job thing, really. And that keeps you on your toes. It's brilliant. That's my favourite thing about it. But doing Sweep for those couple of weeks was a nice break from that. And it's much more relaxed because you don't have to think about any lines or gags because they're going to be wasted anyway. As I was. Way!
Was it a Sunday then? It must have been Sunday after 12 o'clock.
Every day's a Sunday in Wigan.
Every day's a Sunday in Wigan, yeah.
I think is that a Smith's song? I think it is a Smith's song, that.
If not a John Smith song.
Yeah, very good.
It could be, couldn't it? It could.
If anyone wants to send me some John Smiths, it's my preferred drink.
That's it. Are you on commission up with John Smiths?
Not yet, but I'll be a bit of log after this, I might be.
You will.
I've just drank 10% of it already.
Is that a year's commission or just a one day?
I think it's just this hour.
Is that this hour? Awesome.
Yeah. Any more questions? I like those. They're my favourite
Yeah,
thing.
there is questions.
How many people are watching this?
16 at the moment, 17.
Oh, it's going through the roof.
Oh, it's absolutely, mate. Absolutely. My head's swelling just talking to you. Can you tell? But one thing, you made your first puppet at 11.
Yeah.
But then what inside you, mate, you're obviously an entertainer at heart because you just, at 11, you're out entertaining, which I don't know how many people actually.
I didn't know anybody else who did it when I was at that age. Nobody else who I knew was doing that at that age. It's very odd. And of course, as I said, there was no internet, so you didn't have any community of people. Like these days, you can have these great Facebook groups where puppeteers can gravitate towards each other and, you know what I mean, like a community. There was none of that then. So it's very odd, but I've always been quite resilient and not, what's the word? I generally don't value anybody else's opinion other than my own. So if anyone said, oh, it's daft doing that, I'd do it all the more just to spite them. Whereas some people would be put off doing something if someone texts to make, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's the opposite for me. I tend to think, oh yeah, well, I'll make a success of it and then we'll see where we are. And by jingo, I was right.
Yeah, you just see. So would you say is the kind of person that just flies by your pants, basically?
Yes.
Just you want to do it, you do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I won't. You know, they've once, don't you?
Yeah. Andy Holton says.
Hello, Andy, if you're listening. Hello, Andy.
He's there, and he says, I'm assuming he's referring to puppets when he says,
I hope so.
Spend a lot of time on his knees when doing television shows.
Yes, not really on my knees, no. On my back, I have a trolley, which is like a puppeteer's trolley, which is not dissimilar to something you would see Kevin Webster on when he's doing an MOT. So you lie on your back with your arm in the air with a monitor on you, and and I always have my script sellotaped to the monitor. And I never learn my lines or generally read them in advance. I just read them cold when I'm on. And that's the arm rods working hacker. So yes, you're not on your knees very often, no, unless you want a promotion. Yeah.
Do you get a lot of awkward positions and situations when you're filming then, Phil?
Yes, everything's awkward. Doing my day job is not so bad in CBBC because I've done it for so long. Everyone knows what you're dealing with. So you walk in, everything's fine. Usually, if you're doing a gig or a show for a new production company, they will... it's as if people don't realise that Hacker's a puppet. Or they think that because Hacker's that big, they think you only need a space that's that big to do things. Do you know what I mean? And I'm 6'1". I'm in my arms in there. There's 7 feet of me below Hacker to hide or to get out of shot. And often people think, but he's only little, isn't he? Yeah, he is, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So when you do a new production, people are often just blown away because they're expecting Hacker to walk in and just do its own thing, but it doesn't work that way.
That's obviously a compliment to your skills as a puppeteer as well, though, with that mindset of them, isn't it?
We can take it as that, yeah, because if they've only seen, if people want to book Hacker on a show, they'll YouTube him, watch some things of Hacker and think, oh, he's funny, he's good, we'll book Hacker, bang, easy. But I need a monitor when I get there. I can't work without a monitor. I can't be on telly without me seeing what you guys see at home, because any way you angle the puppet's head alters his emotions and expressions, you see. So I can't rely on somebody just saying, oh, I'll film it, you don't need to see it. I have to see it. Because as a puppeteer, you're self-directing all the time.
I suppose you've got to follow the cameras aren't static usually, are they? So I suppose you've got to follow the
No, you do, but you know, if you're acting in something, for example, you're not, camera's there, for example, if you're not playing to camera, if you're in Coronation Street, you're doing this, aren't you? All right, yeah, you're right, Sally, you're not wrong, but you're not playing to but the actor doesn't need to see that. Now, if I'm a puppeteer, I'm out of vision. Even though the puppet's looking over there saying that, I'm still watching that screen because I need to see that he's looking off correctly as well as looking at the camera correctly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And where did you learn that skill set, Phil, or was it just a matter of trial and error?
I've always done it. When I was a little kid, I bought a camcorder with my puppet show money. One of those massive ones. You remember in the 80s where you put full-size tapes in, like that episode of Only Fools and Horses?
Was you reading my mind then? I was
Yes.
Yes.
Watch out, trotters, about that one. From Fatal Extraction, it is my favourite episode, would you believe? Yeah. In fact, I've got it here on DVD. Right, here it is. It's in that episode. I promise, I'm not lying to you about Ornithos and horses.
I believe you won 95%, 100%.
And that's one of those. So I used to get that and I wired it up to the telly and I spent years just making own movies of puppets. And that's how you learn, because when you're doing TV puppetry, your puppet and your screen picture move the opposite way. It's not like a mirror. It's the opposite to a mirror. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose you're looking at audience perspective, aren't you, rather than...
Yes, it's the viewers at home, which is great. And it's the best way to do it, because if you're working straight scan, as they call that, when it works in a reverse way, although it is called straight scan, funnily enough, if you're having to rely on people putting captions on the screen, on my monitor, I can read the captions. Now, some people work reverse scan, which means it is like a mirror image, which is easier. But any captions are also reversed. So if you're getting kids sending in drawings and you're having to read out the stuff, you can't read it. Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah. And how old was you when you got this camera, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind. I was still at school, so I'm probably about 13.
That was a big investment then when you was 13, and it must have been as big as you, Phil.
It was a big camera. It was 300 quid. It was second-hand off my dad's mate round the corner here. And I saved up my gig money, and I used to charge 12 quid a gig back then for a kid's party. It was £12. And I saved up that. I was always working every weekend, so I saved up all my cash and bought this camcorder. But it was probably the best thing I've ever spent my money on, because it's the only way you can learn. You can't learn TV puppetry with a mirror. So if anyone watching this wants to get into television, you get a camcorder, or you can do it with your phone these days. Plug a monitor into your phone or whatever. I mean, I've never done that, but you can do that. Probably. Google it.
So, was you going to be a puppeteer when you left school, and a performer when you left school, or did your parents say you get down pit and get a proper job like?
You don't pit. I dare say if there were pits were still open here, I would have been down the pit. No, I was always a puppeteer. I mean, I used to tell them at school I was a puppeteer. I'll be a puppeteer. I stopped doing PE in about 2 years prior to the end of school, so I don't need this. I'm a puppeteer. What are you drinking then?
It's apple juice, Phil.
Innocent apple juice. Good.
Yeah,
cheers.
Matured for a long time with a few additives, fizzy.
It's gone off, hasn't it, that?
It has, yeah.
So I always said I was a puppeteer when I was a kid. I would never had any intention of doing anything else. And when people say that's not a job, but I say, well, I'll prove you wrong.
And you did.
And I did. And now I'm sat here by piss stain talking to you. So who's the real winner?
No competition really, is there?
No, none.
In our world.
I love this, yeah. It's fun, this, chatting to other puppet people. It's good.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's good fun. Talking of other puppet people, yeah.
Puppet, that's the drink. It's the apple juice.
I'm a ventriloquist, so I can't say my piece. So I'll say puppet people. Yeah, Chris Kendall's watching.
Who?
Chris Kendall.
Is he
Never
new?
heard of him, have you? Chris Kendall.
I think he's an up and coming.
Oh, is he?
Person. I think so. He's new.
Gone. He's not been and gone then.
He's a has-been. He's a future has-been.
He's a future has-been, yeah. He says, what's coming up with, we haven't got on this subject yet, with the Pound Shop Boys. We can
well, we've got a new album. This is our old album, but we have got a new album out soon, so keep your eye on that. But do check us out on YouTube, Pound Shop Boys. Our Banana Splits cover version is currently on 1.3 million views.
Wow.
So that's done really well, yeah. I'm in a band with John Matthews, a.k.a. Ricardo Artaban, who was in a band in the 90s called the Cuban Boys, which did the hamster dance. Remember that one? Do you remember that?
No, I don't feel sorry.
I'll send you a link later. Well, the bloke who did that song is my co-Pound Shop Boys band member. But do look us up. We're very good. We're doing some live gigs next year later in the year when all this COVID nonsense is subsided. But thanks for the question, Chris. But yes, the answer in short is we've got a new Pound Shop Boys album out very soon. So keep checking back. poundshopboys.bandcamp.com. And check us out on Instagram at poundshopboys.
So what? I know we're going down different paths here, which I don't mind because it's great fun. Because
I like them.
Yeah, it is. But so you're in a band as well. So where do you find the time to be in a band? I don't mean that rude. It's because
it sounded rude.
Did it? Well, I was only being serious, mate.
There's always time, isn't there? When you're free, I'm a freelance puppeteer, freelance entertainer, as it were, and you know what it's like. You're never off work, are you? Do you know what I mean?
But you can't, can you?
No, it's a sort of funny mindset that you're always at work. So as far as I'm concerned, I work 24 hours a day. So I'm asleep, I'm thinking of ideas for things. So you're never off, really. So to me, it's one all-encompassing life of being that entertainer. So that is, it's puppet building, puppeteering, being in the band. It's all under the one umbrella of being my nonsense life.
Yeah.
So I don't compartmentalize it really. It's one big mass of shite that I love.
Yeah, I think from chatting with you for now for a very short time, very much so of what you see and what you get, and nothing stands in the way because was you talking to a friend having some liquid refreshment one day, and he says, you know what, I've not done any singing or been in a band. Let's just start a band.
Exactly that. It was exactly that, really. I was on Twitter one day, and I'm a big fan of Sparks. Do you remember Sparks?
I do remember Sparks.
Yeah, they're brilliant. I love them. They're my favourites. Sparks and Pet Shop Boys are my favourites. Anyways, I was on Twitter, and Sparks had retweeted a song by a band called Spray. And the song was called Sparks Called and They Want Their Ideas Back. So I clicked on it, listened to it, loved it, got in touch with the bloke from Spray. Turned out to be Ricardo Autobahn, who used to be in the Cuban Boys, John Matthews. We got chatting, we became mates. We started going to the pub, karaoke. And then and he's in a band, so we started recording stuff at his house just for our own amusement. And we thought, well, we need to do something with this. What can we do with this? It sounds a bit like Pet Shop Boys. We're doing daft cover versions of songs like Pime and Sam. Pound Shop Boys is a funny name. It's a spoofy name. It's quite a good gimmick. Let's bring out an album. By Jingo, we've brought out an album and we've had millions of views on YouTube just from messing about.
About 1.3 million, I think.
Approximately what? That's for one video. 1.3 million on the Banana Splits. Do check it out. It's great, but it's good to pretend to be a pop star. It's funny to pretend to be a pop star, and that's what you do. And if you pretend something enough, it just becomes real. It literally. Do you know what I mean? If you say something enough, it becomes fact, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And you have to do that sometimes, don't you?
This entire game, this entire industry, I think, is based on that. It's all flannel. If you wander around and say you're this, that, and the other enough, people will go, oh, there's that bloke who's this, that, and the other, and then it'll get round. Then you are that thing. Then it becomes fact.
Yeah, but some people like yourself are recognised for that because you're actually doing it, not just because you're talking about it. That's the big difference between. Yeah,
there's people who just talk about it and don't do it. I talk about it, and then I have to do it because I've talked about it. So you say it's quite good to do that. I think give yourself deadlines. I always work good to a deadline. Otherwise, you think things can drag on forever more. So I'm saying, right, I'll have this done tomorrow. Then you think, balls, I've got to get it done tomorrow, but it will be done. Do you know what I mean? That's how I thrive on the pressure, which will kill me young, but I'm happy with that. That's
the only way I can work in certain situations because I'm a big procrastinator. I'll do. In fact, I was going to do that in last week's show, and
good gag. I'll steal that. Yeah, a lot of people do. No, that's one thing I don't do. I don't procrastinate, but I will not start something because I'm watching Only Fools and Horses on Gold all day, which I love. I've got it on DVD, but I'll still just watch it on Gold to save me walking up the stairs.
Yeah. So you can get a beer in the adverts anyway on Gold. You can't do that on DVD.
There's no adverts on the DVD. You're right.
Yeah. So there's method in your madness there.
So I'd never procrastinate. Not often people do. So that's good. Yeah, I've never been one for that. And I also don't sleep very well. So my days are longer than the average person's.
Yeah. Do you think that you're quite hypo in that way, Phil.
Yes.
As in ideas. I don't mean like you're on like too much vitamins, you know. But
after a Barocca. But yes, no, I'm always on. Yeah, I'm always on. It's a bit tiring actually sometimes, but that's the life. It's that showbiz, isn't it?
Yeah. Andy Alton's just posted.
Hello, Andy. Welcome back.
Is Phil jealous of Hackatee Dog's success?
Yes. Next question.
Next question is, if you could have now we'll go back to that.
No, I'm not. I suppose I just think we're the one and the same these days. So if he's successful, so am I. If he's a failure, so am I. If he gets complaints, so do I.
Yeah. There has been situations in history, though, where entertainers have been jealous of the puppets' fame over theirs, hasn't there?
Yeah, there has, and I think it's a different it's a sort of different kettle of fish when you're a puppeteer, that I think, versus a ventriloquist. Because if you're a ventriloquist, you're putting yourself out there as that performer, aren't you, with the puppet? So if people prefer the puppet over you, you're going to resent it. Now, because I'm always out of the way when we're not even in the same thing, so it's not. I never feel that. I think that's odd, but I can understand it from a ventriloquist who is overpowered by the success of the puppet, particularly if they don't really want to be a puppeteer, like Rod Hull, for example. He didn't want to be a puppeteer really, but he was so good at it. He was sort of drawn into it, and then he became sort of resentful of the thing. But I think if it's separate, me and Hacker are not the same. We're not a double act. Yeah.
Do you think part of the Pound Shop Boys, you're actually in public view there, aren't you, when you perform on that?
Yeah, but I'm still wearing dark glasses and a hat and a full costume. There's only this much showing, so it's still. I think it's more that we do good stuff. I think our stuff is really good, and it's not. And I like to get it out there. So yeah, so you still can walk down the street and not be recognised as the Pound Shop Boys because you're mostly covered up anyway. So I think it's only a glorified puppet act without the puppets, really.
Yeah, and with COVID going around and that bit's covered up with your mask.
Even better, yeah. There's nothing can be seen.
You could walk down the street with nothing on, couldn't you? And
I have. After a couple of John Smith.
Was that proven? I thought that got thrown out.
I admitted it after a couple of these.
Did you? I thought you did it because you'd had a couple of those.
Well, they're both the problem and the cure.
And the solution.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Phil Humphries, you know Phil Humphries who's watching?
Hello.
How you doing now, Phil? He's saying, if you could have a TV series for one of your puppets, which character would it be? So I'm assuming that's for one of your own creations on that.
Yeah. Well, Hacker had his own show for 6 years, Hacker Time, but I would like to do a show with Pistane. In fact, I have done a bit of a pilot with him with Keith Lemon from Celebrity Juice as do you remember the Bow Selector Bear?
Yeah.
With him.
You faced me there because my mind went on a blank. Can I just ask where you came up with that name? Because it's quite funny every time you say it.
This one?
Yeah. There's kind of you want to smile and you think, is it okay to laugh?
It is okay to laugh. Do you know what? I just thought it was funny. It just made me laugh. So I thought it's funny. His name's Pistane. Now he doesn't. That's not his trait. He never references it. It's just his name.
Right.
There's no reason for it other than it made me laugh. And that's really all that matters to me. I only do this for me.
It works.
It does work. But I would like to do a show with him, yeah. But I've done a pilot with Keith Lemon with Pistane. That's on YouTube. If you look it up, it's called The Burr Facts on Keith Lemon's doings. It's a nice little sketch.
It fit in well with his name. I'm assuming his character is just as way out as his name. Be quite a good late evening show or after 9 o'clock show. That could
exactly. It was that. Yeah, it wasn't for kids. And he has his voice is based on a character called Dr. Quack, which was in a film called Meet the Feebles. Who in turn that voice was based on an actor called Paul Lind, an American actor, who used to do the voice for the Hooded Claw in Penelope Pitstop. Do you remember that?
I absolutely remember it well. I was a fan of it as a child.
Yeah, so that's his voice. I'll get you, Penelope Pitstop, next time. So that's the voice that I do for him.
Yeah. Okay, let's have another look at one. And I've got some more questions here myself.
I like the questions. They're good, these.
Yeah. Paul Roach Sparks was one of my question to Phil. Shall I put my other glasses on? I've got some glasses like you've got with no lens in the park with rubbish lens. My question to Phil is, what do you think the Gong King would think of all of this?
The Gong King would be furious. He's one of my characters. And I have got an idea for a project I'm doing with them, with John Matthews from the Pawn Shop Boys. We're doing an album called Phil Fletcher in Gonkville, and it's based on Father Abraham in Smurfland. Do you remember that album?
Vaguely.
Yeah, from the 70s.
I didn't have it myself, but my lad did.
I have it, yeah, on cassette. I on cassette. Think of that. So the Gong King would be appalled. He speaks like this. I decree that you must obey me. Obey me, you turds. And that's what he would be saying now if he was here. But he's not, because I didn't think ahead. He's in a different room.
Okay.
I can do the voice. That's how he speaks. Hello, I am the Gong King, and I hope you must obey your king, you turds. And that's his loving way of speaking to his subjects.
When you used to watch cartoons and because it's research for us, even as adults now, it's research.
Exactly, yeah.
We can watch cartoons and things like that all the while. Can we climb it back?
Because we're nicking the voices, yeah. Research.
As you was playing the videos, or that makes me sound old, or watch it on YouTube, do you copy the voices as you do it?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I often, when I'm in the car, I will always be doing character voices in the car, singing along to the songs and just working out new character voices. I mean, people at the traffic lights may think I'm mad, but I don't care, luckily. But I always do the voices in the car, because you do find with a voice, I don't know if you find this, it's all well and good. You can come up with a voice and you're fine with it. But you don't know if you can say every word in that voice or how long you can maintain that voice. It's all well and good going, oh, I can do this voice for that character. But if it hurts after 2 seconds, so you need to workshop the voices, I think. Hacker's voice took years to become what it is. Because for the first few months, it was hurt. It hurts. And you don't want to do a voice that hurts. Quick. Yeah.
You've got to hit that voice every time as well, haven't you? So if it's too complicated, then obviously it's going to hurt.
You do find that they always land. Anyone can come up with a daft voice. There's no real skill in that. The skill is trying to find a place where it can sit and be a consistent voice that doesn't hurt you. And then you can do everything within that voice. It's all well and good doing it. You can do a daft sort of falsetto character or something funny as a throwaway character, which I do in Hacker Time sometimes. If like a pumpkin comes on with a voice, it'll speak in a weird voice, but you couldn't maintain that voice for the entire show because they kill you. So his voice is easy to do. The Paul Lynn voice. Hello, I'm Pithstane. Welcome to my movie review. And Arthur's voice is like a Bruce Forsyth. Hello, my name is Arthur. I'm 41 and I drink. Now, you can do that voice all day long and it won't hurt you.
Yeah, it's not far off your normal. It doesn't sound like your voice, but it's not far off your normal.
If you can find a voice, if you do a character all the time, where you're not relying on doing one-off throwaway lines. If you're doing a full-time character, as I do with Hacker, now not many people do this. Not many people work with puppets every day. So if you do gigs, for example, you do them on Saturday and Sunday probably, or a couple of nights a week, but you won't do it every day for 4 hours.
No.
So if I did a voice for him that hurt, it's madness. So you do find, the skill is to find a place in your range where it can sit and be comfortable and it'll still sound good. And Hacker's voice, in fact, my voice, I'm quite lucky with it, it records well. It's got a good pitch, which is just fluke by that, but they always sound, when I listen to stuff back that I've done, it never sounds like me.
Yeah, well, that's key. That's key. There's a lot of, I'm not saying puppeteers because I don't know so much, because you don't usually hear a puppeteer in his normal voice like you do a ventriloquist.
No, it's a totally different world, yeah. With a ventriloquist, you're a double act, aren't you? So with a ventriloquist, your puppet voice needs to be different to yours.
Yeah, and probably, which is the case in probably a small percent of it, because it is difficult. A lot of find that their voice throughout the show becomes their voice.
Yeah, but with a ventriloquist, they generally, in my Keith and Orville, for example, are my personal favourites. The great thing with Keith and Orville is Keith's voice and Orville's voice are so different to each other's. It's a perfect double act. And then when you do a record, which is a big hit, for example, alternate lines are different voices. Now it's difficult to do and that falsetto is hard to do. It must be hard without moving your lips. Because for falsetto is not easy to do at the best of times, is it?
No, easier on a record, I'd have thought.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you wouldn't have done it on the record.
Yeah. On there. Talking of records and albums, did you ever do any?
This one?
Yeah. Have you done any voices of the Banana Splits? Because I know you've got a fantastic set of characters that you built with them as well.
I built all. Yes, if you look at the YouTube video that's had 1.3 million views, if anyone asks, which they didn't. The puppets, I built all the puppets for the video, and in the song, I do perform Fleagle's voice. So if you listen to the record, Fleagle's voice on the record is me as well. And he has a list. Welcome to the Banana Splits.
Yeah, I grew up with them. Banana Splits I used to love.
Oh, I love them. I still love them. And I was quite lucky, actually, last year, because in America, they did a reunion of the 3 of the remaining of the surviving performers. So Drooper, the people inside the suits, Drooper, Snorky, and Bingo. Fleagle sadly died, but Snooper, Snorky, and Bingo, the actors, did a reunion, and I built a set of puppets for them for the exhibition. So I've worked with them, and they're all lovely. So I was a big fan of it as a kid. So it's nice to have actually worked with the actual performers in a roundabout way.
Yeah,
and they all like our version of the song as well. They've all told me that they've enjoyed the Pound Shop Boys version, which is great.
Yeah, and they look spot on for me anyway. They look spot on with the characters.
Thank you.
On there, which is a difficult art in itself.
It's difficult when you're trying to. I do a lot of replicas. I make a lot of Muppet replicas for fun, and you can see photographs of them all over my Instagram and what have you. But it's not as difficult to make a puppet replica of a puppet thing because it's still a puppet. To make a puppet version of something that's a suit is a bit trickier because the costume wouldn't necessarily land how a puppet needs to land. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
The hinges and stuff don't need to be where that needs to. So it's not. You have to find a happy medium to make it look enough like it so you can recognise it, but so it'll still work. Whereas the suits are a different kettle of fish, aren't they?
Yeah. And question here.
Who's it from? I'll give him a hello.
Oh, no, actually, he's gone further up, but somebody's asked about. Well, you've got him there anyway. You've got Acker there anyway, haven't you?
I sure have. Cocker. He's always close by. So I get him on.
I bring him on.
Oh, hello, Ian Mac. You all right, Cocker?
How you doing, Acker?
I'm very well, thanks for asking. Now, I don't like those puppets behind you. Puppets are weird, aren't they? They're for children. I don't get it. What's the big attraction?
They're my friends. Acker.
I don't like it. It's not natural.
Is it the breed you don't like? Is it the kind of puppet you don't like?
Yeah, it's the dogs, aren't they? What make are they? Are they border terriers? I'm a border terrier.
They're bored of hanging around, I think.
Hey, that's my joke. I always do that gag. They say, what breed of dog are you? I'm a border. A border being asked that question. That's my joke, that is.
Oh, somebody just says, I can stay there. You can answer it, perhaps, if you know.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to build the Banana Splits?
I did it in a week. We did it in a week. In fact, we recorded the song, built the puppets, filmed the video, and got it on YouTube within a week. So then.
A week?
We did it all within a week, yeah. It was just a whim of an idea because they were making a horror film of the Banana Splits. Warner Brothers made a horror film of it, and we heard about this.
Look at that comment. A week to build.
A week. So that we heard whispers that they were making this horror film, and they made this horror film, and it was coming out in a couple of weeks or something. So I said to John, Pound Shop Boys, John, I said we should do the Banana Splits theme and release it when this film comes out because it'll even though the film's going to be a load of rubbish, it's horror film, it'll still get a lot of interest because everyone will watch it. So it'll still get the numbers even though it's crap. Do you know what I mean? which it did. So I thought, oh, we'll do the song. So I went to his house, recorded the song. I came back up, I made the puppets. Then John came to mine in the green screen in the garage. We filmed the video. John edited it. We put it online. We did it all within a week. So from nothing, from the idea to it being on YouTube was a week. That includes filming it, building them, recording it, editing it, doing all that caper. And now it's had how many views has it had, did we say?
Oh, you're on about the album or you're out on at the moment? 24?
The video. No, not that. The video, 1.3 million views.
1.3 million views, crikey. Yeah. That's it. That's almost as many people as watching now.
It's really. Well, that's not bad for a week's work, is it?
Yeah, no, that's quite impressive actually, because there's a lot of planning involved in it.
As I said, I do work better with the deadline. So, I mean, it was a rush. That you don't want to do all that in a week because it's crippling. But we had no choice. We wanted to put it on YouTube the day the film came out. So we sort of had no choice, and I work better under a deadline.
Yes. How much time a week would you say you spend? Because I know you work every day apart from weekends with the studio.
Yeah, I work. Well, at the minute I'm working 3 days a week on CBBC. So every other day I'm making puppets. I'm making content. I do an Instagram show called Inside the Puppet Workshop, which is like a documentary type thing that I do 2 episodes a week of that on Instagram. I put one out every Saturday and Sunday morning. And I always do new content for that every week as well. In between doing my day job, building the puppets, I've got commissions on. I'm currently making an elephant. There's always something to do. Yeah. Plus thinking of new Pound Shop Boys stuff. So there's as you said before, it's all encompassing. There's no such thing as a weekend when you're freelance. It's just an all encompassing life, isn't it?
Well, there's no 9 till 5 either.
No,
yeah,
it's 24 hours a day as far as I'm concerned, every 7 days a week. Just perpetuating. You've got to perpetuate your industry, haven't you, all the time? So even when you're sat down watching telly, you're still posting Instagram stuff just to remind people that you're still around. Do you know what I mean? It's a constant stream of shite to make yourself out.
Which can be to people around you, can be to their annoyance sometimes as well, can't it?
And that's another perk for me.
When you get the silent treatment, I'll go in the workshop then.
Well, you always get the silent treatment when you live on your own.
Oh, great. Dan Slater has just said, right?
Hello, Dan. Are you well? If you're watching, hello, Dan.
Yeah, where's his question gone? Oh, Aka might want to answer this one, but you may know.
We'll both know.
You've done a lot of interviews over the years. Has there ever been any awkward situations?
No, there hasn't really. I've done lots of interviews with celebrities and famous people. I interviewed Andy Murray, the tennis player, once. And then I was waiting in the interview room when Andy Murray left. And they said to me, right, we're going to bring the Williams sisters in. You can interview them. So I was sat there waiting to do the Williams sisters interview. And they walked in and went, nope, I'm not doing that, and walked out again. So that was the only awkward moment. The Williams sisters did not want to do an interview with me. So there.
Their loss.
I thought that, and that really happened. But generally, everyone I've ever worked with in show business are lovely. It's genuinely true, that. There's some of the nicest people in show business. So Sean Williamson, who did really well on Beat the Chasers last night, by the way. 120 grand for his charity. One of the nicest men in show business, Sean Williamson. I worked with him a lot. I did 2 series of Scoop with him, a children's sort of drama series as Hacker.
Talking about people on television, Andy Holton.
Hello, Andy. Are you well?
Asked a few years ago, he asked you on Facebook. Well, he thinks it was on Facebook. It must have been to do with puppet situations, or as in your situation, operating Aka or somebody else. But did Andy Peters' bum smell? Not my question.
Did it? No, it didn't. It smells nice. I've worked with Andy Peters a few times over the years, and he's a lovely man as well. Nice, funny bloke who smells lovely. I think it's Lynx. He smells of Lynx Africa, I think it is, which is his preferred.
Yeah, Lynx Africa. Yeah, in the jungle.
Nice man.
Very close. You need a refill there, Phil.
I know, but it's downstairs. That'd be unprofessional to go on for a drink, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. It would really. I could sing for 5 minutes.
No, they don't deserve that. They don't deserve that.
No, absolutely.
When are the adverts on?
We've had it.
Oh,
You
God.
held the can up. You held the can up. That's it. Sponsored by. If you'd have given me them images before, I could have.
I know you could. Well, next, put them on in post.
Yeah, I will. The empty cans or the new ones.
There'll be more empty cans by then.
Hopefully.
Any more questions? I like this. It's good.
Have you built any new puppets today by Logan Ford?
Logan Ford, not today, no. But Logan actually just bought one of my puppets off Instagram. So he's now the proud owner of one of my characters, and he's called it Dexter. So I look forward to seeing what he does with that character on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Just reminded me that question that came up and I couldn't find.
You lost it, didn't you?
It was another one by Dan Slater.
Oh, yeah.
He what was referring to your little fella, your little green fella. When are you putting it on eBay?
Bob Toad, he'll be on eBay very soon. Very soon. Soonish.
Yeah. I thought I heard him. Did I not hear him a few minutes ago?
Oh, he's here, yeah. I'd forgotten about that. He'll tell you himself.
Hello, I'm Bob Toad, and I will be on eBay very soon, Dan. So don't upset yourself. I'll be on eBay very soon.
And that was Bob Toad, everyone.
Bob Toad. And now Dan's asked that question, everybody will be looking out on eBay and he'll end up paying more for it now because there'll be more bidders.
So the joke's on you, Dan. No, there will be, buy it now, same price. I'll be doing a limited run of 6 of them, that's all. 6. And then they'll be gone. So keep your eye out. I will post the details on Instagram and on Facebook before I post them. So don't worry. You won't miss them, I promise. Unless you do. That's not my problem. It's out of my hands.
That's right, because they'll sell anyway. James Griffiths says,
hello, James.
What's the funniest thing you've done with Hacker?
The funniest, or the funnest?
Oh, good. Hang on. The funniest. Well, we'll answer both.
I've not got an answer for either. That's the problem. That's the tragedy. The funniest was, oh God, what's funny? I've not a clue what the funniest is. It's all pretty funny. But the funnest and the most pinch yourself times I've had where you sort of you say, message saying, now, tomorrow, Hacker, do you want to go and interview Jim Curry tomorrow? Yeah, yes, I do. Things like that, you think, God, you never expected that. You know what I mean by that? When you're from Wigan, and I was doing kids' birthday parties at 11, I never would have thought that I would be interviewing the likes of Jim Curry, Benedict Cumberbatch, Jack Black, Dwayne Johnson, major Hollywood movie stars. You just don't expect it, do you?
No. I think from your Facebook page that there must be well over 60, 70 photos of you with some top names.
Oh, there's loads. I mean, I've met everyone. I've met the Queen as Hacker. That was fun. It wasn't particularly funny. It was quite weird, in fact, but because the Queen came round to Media City to open the studios officially, and she came to us, for example, maybe 2 o'clock or something in the afternoon. So we all had to be in there, locked in from 7 a.m. so they could seal all the doors with all the sniffer dogs and the army and things before the Queen came. So you have to be in the building hours before she turns up. That was really weird. And not what you expect at all. And the Queen wanders in. Hacker and Dodge say some nonsense to her. And she says, very good, that, isn't it? Yes. And then she wanders off and you think, what has just happened? That was surreal. Again, from somebody from Wigan who messes around with puppets, you don't expect to be doing a sketch for the Queen that's filmed and then put out on news at 10 on that night. So me and Warwick, who plays Dodge, Hacker's brother, got up from behind the desk, met the Queen, they filmed it, that was on news at 10. And that next day was when I got recognised by the public for the only the only time, because you would.
Now, I know it wouldn't have been your fault. I'll put my teeth back in. Your fault, Phil. Yeah, but at any point, did Acker have a little naughty thought of what he could perhaps get away with? But
Definitely, yes, we did. But we had to rehearse what we were saying to her, and it had to be approved by the palace, and this, that, and the other. It was as much as I'd have liked to said to her, "Yeah, all right, cockers, do you fancy a cup of tea?" We were not allowed to, and it wouldn't have been worth. I mean, I'm all for living on the edge, but I don't want to go to the tower.
No. There's no central heating in there, is there?
Yeah, no. Well, I've heard, but it was a funny day. That very strange, and again, something you do not expect. I mean, I'm not particularly a royalist, however, but when you're in that moment, and there's such a buzz around it, and she's like 3 feet from you. You don't expect to ever have to live through that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's all well and good saying, it wouldn't have, sorry, I just caught the thing. So the excitement, people say, it wouldn't affect me, but it would. Because it does. Because I was doing it. I was the one who said it wouldn't affect me, but it's weird.
Yeah. I would imagine that the whole situation was as well, with you being all like locked in and everything. Yeah. Almost...
there was limited people allowed in, so maybe there was half a dozen of us in the studio for about 5 or 6 hours before she came in. So it is like being a hostage or something. It's really odd and not something you can sort of repeat, because it just doesn't happen for anybody else, that sort of thing.
Have you ever had interviews with other people where they thought they're as important as that situation?
You know what? In all seriousness, everyone I've ever worked with in show business have always been great. I've never had a bad experience with anybody. Even people I've heard other people tell me they've had bad experiences with. Do you know what I mean? So I can't say, honestly, everyone's who I've ever worked with have been lovely.
Yeah. Do you think that's because they realise, because you are a very confident person? With what you do every day takes a lot of.
Well, maybe, yeah, that's right. You're right. I've heard stories about people who have not been particularly nice to work with, but but when they've met Hacker and I, they've been great. So you can only base it on your own experience, can't you? You can only base your opinion on those people from what you've experienced, not what other people have told you. Yeah. So I've never had, no, it's a dull story, but it's true. They're all great. Boring. It's not going to be a good book.
Yeah. Is there anybody, it might be a short one. Is there
a pamphlet?
Bucket list? Anybody on your bucket list? I know you've crossed me off now, Phil, but is there anybody else?
You were on it, yeah. My bucket list is to buy a new...
Buckets, I said, Phil. So.
My bucket list is to buy a new bucket, actually, because mine's knackered.
I'm lost for words.
I wanted you to be.
Bucket? Could you do a talking bucket?
Come on, I can do a talking anything. That's the sort of level of confidence that I'm at. I could do a talking anything.
I'm going to have a look at the questions.
I like a question or two. It's good, this, isn't it? Who's that?
Paul, all right.
Hello, Paul. Are you well?
Yeah. If Acker got a movie deal, have you got a plot in your head already?
We have had one written, and it's been pitched, and it could well happen. I mean, you never know. But yes, there is a Hacker movie been written, and it has been pitched. And that's as far as I can talk about. But it hasn't been picked up. It hasn't been commissioned. I'm not working on it, but there has been one written, and it has been pitched.
Okay. I think somebody's been looking at some of your characters that you've introduced there. It's a question on building, if you're okay.
Oh, yeah, I've got my all for that, yeah.
James Griffith says...
Hello, James. Are you well?
He hasn't answered yet, but he might do. I'm assuming he is, because
people tend not to answer.
What pen markers do you use for colouring fabric?
Letraset Pro markers. These are what I've used on. I almost use them on every puppet, actually. If you look at that closely, all the purple shading on him.
Yeah.
That's all done with them. If you look at Arthur, round his eyes, that is all done with them. I always use them in the mouth to darken up the outer line there, so you get a nice bit of contrast. Even on Bob Toad.
Yeah. Any reason why you use those, Phil?
Because they work really well. The ink's thinner, so it's more subtle. So if you use a Sharpie, for example, if you got a green Sharpie and put it on this green fleece and you do that, bang, you've got a dark green line that's dark and you're stuck with it. These pro markers, the ink is still alcohol based and they're still permanent, but they're thinner. So you can put it on and it's subtle. So you can add and add and add. As you say, you can't take it away. You can you can easily squeeze a tube of toothpaste out, but you can't put it back in.
How do you know?
Well, I've tried. As I said, I've no friends. So yes, pro markers are great because the ink's thinner and there's more colours. So with Sharpies, you get red, green, blue, blah, blah, blah. Or is that, have you got delivery service in there?
Not at all, Phil.
I don't get that here. Unbelievable. But with these markers, here's Mum. With these pro markers, Letraset pro markers, they do every colour, every shade, every increment exists as a colour. So you can get a colour that's not dissimilar to the fleece, for example. And once you put it on top, you get a nice subtle. It just adds to everything, I think. I use it on every puppet.
You must have some friends because Derek Walker.
Apart from Derek, I have no friends.
Derek Walker. It sounds like stalker, but I don't think he is. But
I like it.
But he does want to know where you live. And do you live near Dawley? Do you want to answer?
Do I live near where? I've never heard of it.
Dawley?
No.
Dawley.
I've never heard of it, so I would assume I don't. I live in Wigan.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a prison there myself, to be honest.
Very small one.
Yeah. Paul Humphrey says,
Hello, Paul.
What is Keith Teeth up to these days?
He's just off camera, actually. Keith, what are you up to? Well, I'll tell you what I'm up to. I'm working on a new YouTube show called Keith Teeth's Film Review. So check it out soon. Ooh. Cheers, Keith. So Keith's working on a YouTube series called Keith Teeth's Film Review, where he'll review one of these classic films like this one, for example, Meet the Feebles, which is the best puppet movie ever made, I might add, if anyone's watching or interested or cares about my opinion.
Is that one of your favourites then, obviously?
It is my favourite film. It's the best, most influential thing in my career, this film, more than any other puppet project. Meet the Feebles. Look it up. It's very, very good. And Keith will be reviewing those soon. Keith's not a puppet, Ian. He's a human man with big teeth and a red polo neck, and he'll be on YouTube. I know he's a bit camera shy. He was just off screen there. He's off screen here, but he won't go on. He won't do Facebook. He's got a real vendetta against that bloke who invented Facebook. His name I've never forgotten.
Yeah, and he won't even go and fetch you a can of beer, will he?
He won't. He's miserable.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a mess of a man. Yeah. But yes, Keith is still alive and well, and he's going to be doing something soon.
Awesome. How did you get into TV? That's a question I've wrote there, but one of my personal ones.
It's not a great story. The BBC rang me up and asked me, would I like to audition to play this part of Hacker the Dog? And I said to the producer who rang me up, Christina Brown, who used to be a puppeteer, by the way. She was exec producer when she rang me, but she used to be Ed the Duck. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
With Andy Peters. So she rang me up and said, would you like to come and audition to play Hacker the Dog? And I said, no, I don't want to move to London. I'm busy eating custard, watching Columbo, because I used to do nights in the cabaret circuit. And one day she rang me up. I was in bed watching Columbo, eating cold ambrosia custard. It was the episode of Columbo called Any Old Port in the Storm, my favourite episode, funnily enough. And I said, I don't want to do it. And she said, rather than hanging up going, you ungrateful northern get, she said, well, don't be hasty. Come and audition at least. And I went, all right, I will. And I did. And I got the job. And it was a 4-month contract to play Hacker. And I've done it now for nearly 12 years. Wow. So the lesson learned, folks, if the BBC ring you up to ask you to audition for something, go and do it. Don't be a stupid idiot and say no.
How did that feel, Phil? Without giving your emotions away, how did that feel? Would you like, yeah, okay, I'll do it, put the phone down and then punch in there? Or
no, I watched the end of the episode because it's a great one. It's got Donald Pleasance in it, right? Oh, yeah, the Columbo was a good episode. That's what he's saying. No, but yes, when I went down to the month later to audition, then I got a call back to do the second audition. Then I got the job. It was great. I mean, it's the best job in show business. Hack of the Dog. Being Hack of the Dog is the best job in show business. You get all the accolades and all the fun of being a big celebrity, whilst being an anonymous pleb. It's the best of both worlds. It's like being Hannah Montana. Being me is like being Hannah Montana.
Have you ever used puppets that you haven't clicked with? That you just, you find difficulty in getting the character or
I haven't yet, no, but I'm sure that will happen. I'm sure I will, but I haven't, no. You can always find something in a lot of my non-hacker characters. I try and give them all, they've all got something. They've all got a funny name. And they've all got a trait. Now, a lot of people do try and make their characters multi-layered. I'm all for being shallow, surface, one layer. Piss stain. What more do you need? Arthur, he's a drinker. You don't need anything else. I'm always a big believer in giving something a punchy name and a sort of weird trope.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, and we get to the point. Yeah, I don't want to go circling the issue. His name's Piss Stain.
It's just. Has he ever said his own name?
He says it. He might say it now. If I ask him nicely.
Yeah, ask him nicely.
The problem with his head is he's not really built for landscape. You can't get him all in.
Hello, Ian Mack. My name is Pisstain, and I'm having a lovely day here watching your Facebook Live. I'm watching as you hemorrhage viewers. Thank you very much for your support.
The voice actually suits the character as well, though. That's
yes, well, you sound surprised, but you forget I am a professional, and I've been doing this for 33 years.
Interesting mouth as well, Phil, on that
and
one.
He is an arm rod puppet like Hacker. He's got that hand and rod.
So he speaks like...
Again, if you see the scale to him, he's not massive. You always get a bit confused because they're in front of you, but my puppets are often smaller than you'd think when you meet them.
Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, still heavy when you're using them, though. We had.
When they're above your head for 4 hours, it does get a bit heavy. Now he's an arm rod puppet, as you can see, like Hacker, but Arthur is a live hand. So if you put him on, he's got a glove hand, which means you can do a lot of more gesturing and things like that.
Hello, my name is Arthur. I'm 41 and I drink. Oh, I love a drink, I do. I like to sit on that bench over there and drink. In fact, I was sat on that bench the other day having a drink and I messed myself. Yeah. It was just dripping through the slats of the bench. Some of it landed on a badger. He's dead. He's dead now.
And that is how Arthur works.
Awesome character. Very well dressed as well.
Thank you. Well, I made that suit as well. So lovely, because when you're in live hand puppets, of course, the body of them is small puppet size, but the hands are human size. So you have to have human size cuffs, adult size cuffs to go to a smaller. So it's easy just to crack on and make them. But that is what I do. I mess around. I give puppets Bruce Forsyth's voice, and I do daft videos in between doing my day job. So the hobby is your job. There's no, do you know what I mean? It's all encompassing, as I've said. It's weird.
You've had to learn to make clothing as well, there, which is another string to your bow.
It is. It's tricky, but on the other hand, you can generally make things work. If they don't fit properly, you can pin them to the body, which you can't do to a person. So you don't need to worry too much about things fitting. You can make it fit. He doesn't mind having pins in his shoulders to hold the jacket on.
Does it for the camera and for the audience, which is the important thing.
Exactly. It's all about the photograph. Yeah. It's all about the photograph, and the video is actually the art. The puppet itself is just a conduit to get the finished art, I think.
A bit of a compliment here coming in from Logan Ford.
Hello, Logan. Welcome.
The puppet you built for me is not very heavy, which is good.
Yes. that one's a nice little one. It's basically like Bob Toad. In Bob has got no structure in his body at all. So it's just the skull. Then all the cloth just dangles from that. There's nothing in the body at all. So it can fit in a nice little box.
But the character's still there, though, which is.
Yes, I know. That's the beauty of me. Everything is from the waist up. I have nothing in my body, but I don't need it.
It's still awesome character. That's an art in itself because it's very difficult to come up, or I find it difficult to come up with new characters. And I know you just go out and build, and it just comes together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's because I can't really. I love it. It's my favourite thing to do. It's my sort of passion to do it, really, and I love it. I mean, I noticed you've got some puppets behind you, though. What's your process there?
My process is thinking of a character, unless it's a commission in which you get a drawing and something to work on, is thinking a character. But the first one I ever did was for the simple reason I was out entertaining, and people would say, "That's the same puppet as."
Yeah.
So
I know what you mean. That is a difficulty when you can buy off-the-shelf things or mass-produced stuff. You do find everyone's got the same things. That is another reason why I do what I do. It's nice to have things that nobody has. Really. Yeah. So that dog behind you, for example, the wolf, the one that's dead behind your head, the grey one.
That one.
Yeah. What's your thought with that? Did you draw it beforehand, or did you just start cutting stuff out and see what you ended up with?
On that one, he was kind of a slightly bigger version of this. And
so the inside is the same, more or less. Is that then you just change it with the
very, very much. And that come about because I built one, which was my character Cooper, which when I made him, it just made me laugh when I looked at him, and I'd perform with him, and he was just, and I don't know why, he's kicking me in the back. He's giving me
because you're talking about him.
Yeah, and he almost stabs me like other. No, I didn't say that, but yeah. So for some reason, I make a lot of dogs because entertainers like dogs. I think it's because they're a familiar family pet.
Yes, I make a lot of dogs as well. But the beauty of the dog puppet is there are so many different breeds of dog. So you can make a million and they're all different. Cats don't work quite as well in my experience. I mean, I've got a good cat called the Hideous Cat, but cats aren't as versatile puppet-wise because they've got shorter faces. Anything with a longer face is better for a puppet, isn't it?
Well, you can alter the snouts, well, the nose, if you like, snouts.
Yeah.
Ears can be different, eye locations.
Yeah, you can have up ears, down, flap ears. Cats, you can't really. It doesn't really work as well with a cat because a cat's a cat.
Yeah, very much so. Interesting observation. It's like a transformation from a cat to a lion to a tiger is very easy, isn't it, really?
Yes, the thing's the same. It's just all the extremities, isn't it? But the dogs are much more versatile puppets, I think.
Yeah. But
more fun.
But I would struggle to make 4 in a week when you made the banana splits, 4 different puppets.
Yes.
As well as.
Well, I think if someone said to you, this will be good for you, and it needs to be done within the week, you'd do it.
Well, you'd have to, wouldn't you? If you
that is what we did. We had that deadline because the film was being released, and we thought it'd be funny if we did this, and if we missed it, it would have been daft. So you can find in yourself if you've no choice, I think. I mean, I pride myself on my characters that I can create things like this. That's a weird thing. I love doing things like that. I mean, what is that? Do you know what I mean? It's just a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not an horrible thing, is he? Do you know?
No, it's appealing, yeah.
Family friendly, I like to call them.
Yes, family friendly piss stain.
Grandma sat up the corner. That was him saying that, not me.
Grandma likes that. Grandma's a big fan.
Is she? Oh, that's good. That's good.
Any more quizzes? I like the quizzes.
I'll have a look. Oh, my father's watching. Can I say hello to my father?
Yeah.
His name's Roy McGarver.
His name's what?
Roy McGarver.
Roy?
Roy?
Scottish Roy, aye.
Hello, Scottish Roy. Hello, Roy. It is I, Hack of a Dog, wishing you a very happy Sunday. Go and have a lovely pint of beer
while it's Sunday and the clocks have gone forward. La, 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 la. Roy.
That's it. Thank you, Aka. I feel
Thanks,
privileged.
Cocker. He's in prison now. He will be after that.
Yeah, he will, yeah. He doesn't drink now, he's teetotal.
You can always put something in your tea.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Carrots.
Yeah. Beer.
Yeah. Ooh.
Whiskey. You mustn't.
There is a distillery very close by.
It's inside here.
It's inside there. Yeah. Paul Humphreys has the...
Hello, Paul.
Has the hideous cat's eyes...
Cleared up.
Has cat's eyes cleared up yet?
No, they haven't. They are worse, if anything. They are dripping with eye custard. So the hideous cat's got terrible eyes. One of my characters.
I've seen it.
They're dripping with eye custard. He's on borrowed time now. No, he's much worse than he was, actually, Paul. But thanks for bringing it up. He's in a terrible way, in fact.
Yeah. Where's Fred the bulldog?
He's downstairs in the workshop. But Fred also has a Bruce Forsyth voice. So you can basically... Arthur speaks like a subtle Bruce Forsyth. Fred the Bulldog's got an extreme Bruce Forsyth voice. So if you can find a voice within your range, you can do different pitches or different levels of that voice. So you can find a few extra voices within each voice. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you get more for your money. So as Arthur would say, hello, my name is Arthur. I'm 41 and I drink. Fred the Bulldog will go, hello, my name is Fred the Bulldog. Nice to see you. I can see you. So you get two voices there for one, really.
Yeah. Do you actually get the character inside your head, the whole character, the whole person, like Bruce Forsyth, inside your head?
Yes, and I do like my characters to have a catchphrase or a trait from the offset. It gives you a shortcut into the personality without having to worry about it too much. So if I can come up with a character like Arthur, for example, he's 41 and he drinks. So every time I bring Arthur on, he says those things. So it gives you a sort of stepping stone into the mind. And Fred the Bulldog says, nice to see you. I can see you. It's just like Bruce Forsyth's catchphrase, but said wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the hideous cat's got terrible eye custard, and he always references his eye custard. So you've always got something to say, rather than going, oh, I've nothing with this. So Bob Toad, for example, his catchphrase is, hello, I'm Bob Toad. I'm your cloth chum. I'm your woolly well-wisher. I'm your fuzzy friend. Mm-hmm. You've already got things to say while you're thinking of stuff. You don't want to go in there cold, really. So my advice to anyone who's starting with puppets or characters is just think of a trope or a trait or a catchphrase and hammer it home. Cockers. Where do you think all right Cockers comes from? It's because I've got no memory and I never remember anybody's name. Yeah, all right, Cockers, it's me, I give a dog. Yeah, I don't remember your name. That's why I call you Cockers.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I do think that I like a shortcut. A lot of people like layered characters. I like shallow, easy to get to characters.
Do you find those easier to work with as well, Phil?
I find them funnier. And I find that they get the better reaction. And then you can work on the layers over. Hacker's quite layered, but only because I'm doing it for so long and every day for years. But you need something to get you in. You need a shoe in with that character, then you can then extrapolate from it over the years.
Yeah, quite an interesting comment on that, because a lot of people remember Fools and Horses through the... I think if you was to ask anybody of catchphrases throughout that series, regardless of age, unless they're too young, they would know because they're so popular.
I totally agree. When did they come into the lexicon? When did they come part of the actual dialogue? I am never short of something to say when I put a puppet on. Some people are, and they need to work on that, because then you'll become stitched up. You should never be short of something to say. If I put Hacker on and then go into a room full of people, I can work that room.
Is that because Hacker's here?
Yeah. But they're all there. I could go into a room with Arthur and do the same. It's just, you got to find it within yourself. That's going to be your thing. And because I did cabaret for 20 years before I started doing telly, that was a real training ground and a sort of a skill you can't really buy that became an invaluable skill when I started doing live telly. People who go straight into telly probably will struggle with that element.
I think with what's happening as well, people coming from live performances in front of people trying to do Zoom shows. I don't do, we're on Zoom now, but I don't do Zoom performances.
No, nor have I.
On there because I don't have that camera thing where some people do. I've seen some people do Zoom performances and shows, and I'm thinking, wow, absolutely brilliant. And I've seen some by performers that I've worked with that absolutely blow people away, and they just don't come over the same on.
Yeah, it's a different world. Working with camera and working with audience is not the same kettle of fish. Yeah, but when you do live telly, and when you're doing television particularly, you've got a gallery in your ear anyway. So I use the gallery as an audience anyway. So it is like having an audience in your ear. Because I always have talkback in when I'm doing the telly anyway. So I've got the producer, the director, the vision mixer, and all that in my ear all the time. Yeah. It's like having tinnitus.
I bet it's annoying as well at times, isn't it?
You know what? I zone it out. If you do
allegedly.
Yeah, you literally. It's weird. It becomes like you know who you need to listen to when you need to listen to them. For the rest of the time, you're just not listening to any of them because you're focused on the act. It's a real funny sort of compartmentalization of your brain to listen to who you need to when you need to, and then the rest of the time you listen to anybody.
Yeah. Was that natural to you when you first started?
It was, yeah. When I first started it, when I first put the earpiece in, I was never fazed by it actually. So I don't know why that is. I'm sure people are, but I wasn't. No, and I don't know why really, because I'd never done talkback before when I first started doing Hacker, but it was natural, came naturally to me that. Because I'd done such a lot of home movie stuff, I wasn't concentrating on the camera work. So I wasn't, do you know what I mean? Whereas some people maybe would have to think so much about what you struggle with that because you're concentrating on that. Because I wasn't concentrating on that. That was just flowing in. Yeah, maybe.
It's more of a direct focus as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
If the puppet needs to look into the camera, with an audience, a live audience, you can scan around, and if you can't get focus on most people in a live audience, then it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You'll focus on somebody at some point if you do that enough, won't you? Yeah, telly's a bit different. Yeah, but when I'm watching the monitor, when I'm playing Hacker and I'm watching the monitor, all I see is what you guys see at home. So you are removed from it. You often don't think it's you doing it. In fact, you're just watching the telly, and all of a sudden you're talking. Do you know what I mean? You're really separated from it. It's quite odd.
Okay, Dan's got another question for.
Hello, Dan.
We got Morticia first. Morticia Maguire.
Hello, Morticia. Welcome to the live Facebook chat.
Ah, right. Okay, interesting question. On the puppets that you build, do you make each puppet from scratch, or do you use old parts? So I'm assuming she means like a
rebuild.
Yeah.
I never rebuild. I make everything from scratch each time. Yeah.
Yeah. You answered that one before I could bring up the next question. That was really quick.
I'll do it slower. I make everything from scratch each time.
Okay, I'll go back to Dan's another one.
Hi, Dan.
Apart from discount on eBay, which I don't think is possible, some puppets have gimmicks, for example, Dr. Teeth's blinkers.
Yeah.
You have you made any characters with loads of gimmicks? Some of the over-top ventriloquist puppets are similar to some of the over-the-top puppets out there.
No, I have never made anything with multiple gimmicks. I have done, sometimes I'll do an eyebrow mechanism, which is just a piece of wire that loops around inside. So if you lift your finger up, you can raise the eyebrows and what have you. But I don't really do gimmicks. I don't really offer gimmicks. If anyone wants puppets with mechanisms in, I always turn them down because I can't be bothered with it. I don't think it helps you. I think it will hinder your performance if you're not a particularly strong puppeteer anyway. Rather, if you're not fluent enough doing that, you're going to struggle doing that and that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that happens with a lot of new puppeteers to the business.
Yeah.
It's a bit like when somebody first
You-
learns to build a
you rub it
website.
in, yeah,
It's got everything on it, in it, flashes. And
you're a rabbit in the headlights, I think, sometimes. Can it have blinkers? Can it look left to right and all that? You just move your hand if you want to look left and right. You don't need any of that. Kermit the Frog has no mechanisms in him and is the best puppet there is.
oh, yeah.
It's the best, most flexible, immediate, responsive puppet. It's just a sock. Yeah, people do get bogged down in mechanisms, and I don't. I won't even entertain. I won't offer a yeah, I can't be asked.
But you still get a lot of expression out of Bob the Toad by its actual construction, don't you?
You do, but I think it's down to the performer. I can get a lot of expression with no puppet on, and that's because I'm dead good at my job. Do you know what I mean? It's all this is just a conduit to that. You don't need mechanisms. You are watching me, Bob Toad. You are watching my fantastic performance. But you do the same if I did that. Hello, I'm Bob Toad. I'm your cloth chum. I'm your fuzzy friend. I'm your woolly well-wisher. The quality puppetry overrides any mechanism.
Yeah, I've preempted Dan's next question here.
Thanks, Dan.
Because he's going to be asking next, is that one cheaper on eBay?
Yes, well, that comes with me, sadly, so it's bigger parcel.
Yeah. So the answer to that then is a creator, John Smith.
Yeah, it's the answer to everything.
Yeah. And do they still come with a complimentary CD?
There is a thingy in there which you could use for eyes. What would you call them?
Widgets.
You could use a widget for puppet eyes.
Three
So win-win. The more you drink, the more eyes you get.
The more you see. How many original cast of the puppets do you have apart from Josh?
Oh, probably about 100. I have 100 puppets probably available. I do tend to rent them out. They're all available for hire. Should people want to do a pilot or a music video and they can't afford a commission. Dougie, my mate, did me this brilliant drawing of all my characters.
Brilliant.
And there's lots of there's Josh. Josh is the lab rats, the wretched rabbit, Raoul the owl, Wilf. They're all on there. All my piss stains over here. So I do have a lot of characters
Funny when
available.
You say
I'll say it again. Piss stain.
You're really good. Have you done much? Well, I know you've been in films, and you.
I haven't done any films.
I thought you had. I thought you was a puppeteer on a popular Netflix movie.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yes, I did do that, but it wasn't a film. It's a series. Netflix, The Dark Crystal I worked on Netflix.
Yes, silly me. Sorry.
I mean, it's sort of a film, I suppose, isn't it? It was 10 hours. It's a 10-part series based on a film. But yeah, I worked on that very briefly, doing background stuff. I did 7 days on it. Not a great story.
Great story. Yes, well, that's answered that question. Yeah.
Yes, I've never done any films yet, but I might.
What's the best upper you own? And I don't think he means tablets.
The best what?
Upper.
I don't understand the question.
Neither do I. Unless he does mean tablets.
Maybe it just means puppet.
It might be autocorrect. Upper and puppet, they're very similar.
I own a screen-used Orville that I got signed by Keith Harris at his last ever gig in Blackpool. And it's signed under the wings. That's one of my favourite things. I own an actual emu that was commissioned by Toby Hull in 2005 that was never used before they went on to do his sitcom where they had Neil build a furry emu. So I've got one of the last emus made out of raffia. What else do I own? I've got a set of Sooty Sweep and I've got several sets of Sooty Sweep and Sues from assorted eras over the years. And I've got the set of Sooty and Sweeps that I used in my series. What else have I got? That's all I've got screen use wise. But yeah, the Orville is one of my favourite items that I've got. Yeah, signed by Keith Harris.
He's just done a correction Joe, it was puppet, not upper.
I thought it was, because the other one doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense
see?
to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my answer. Orville is one of my favourite characters anyway, and I was chuffed to get hold of an actual Orville. And then I was even more chuffed to get it signed by Keith personally at his last ever gig.
So is that in your study? Do you keep that one close?
He's upstairs. He's up in this room I'm in now is the DVD room, but there's a trap door in the ceiling there, which is my other interior workshop. An Orville and Emu are upstairs on the 3rd floor.
Yeah. Spend a lot of time in your workshop, Phil?
Yes, I do, often making puppets upstairs. In the garage, which is my outside workshop, where I have all my stuff displayed, is where I film inside the puppet workshop. But that's more of a showroom than a workshop, really. It's just a set.
Joe Taylor says, how many hackers have you used? Well, that's a good question. I bet there's a few.
There's been about 15. There's been 15 hackers in 10 years. Neil Sterenberg, who builds them, has just delivered a brand new one, which I shall probably start using after the summer. So that'll be 16, won't it? Yeah, 16, I think.
Yeah. Has he developed much over the years, Phil, as in usability from when you first had it?
The physical puppet, well, it's different each time, because when Neil builds them, he builds them effectively back to factory settings, and I use it for like a year or something, so it deteriorates and falls apart. Then all of a sudden it's brand new again. So then you've got to wear it. So that is stiff when you get them new, because you're so used to the knackered one that's become dead flexible and brilliant. So there's a sweet spot where it's particularly good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it gets rebuilt, and then it's stiff again. You got to work it in until it gets to that sweet spot again. Then you get a new one. So there's always a little moment where he's brilliant. And this one actually is at that point now. It's really nice, this one. Malleable. That's because it's falling apart.
Do you ever get fatigue?
No. From doing the job or physically?
Well, hands basically. I'm referring to that.
Not really. When I did Hacker Time, which was a sitcom we did, a chat show, I was doing 10-hour days on that, and some days on that you would start getting where your hand would stop working. But doing that for 10 hours, well, Hacker's worse because that finger's up in his eyebrows. So you're doing that, which is not a natural way to have your tendons all stretch in a funny way when you're doing that. And doing that for 10 hours started making your hand go a bit funny, but not often.
Yeah.
Not as often as you'd think.
How sympathetic do you find that either series makers or producers are to puppeteers? They're like, because with an actor you can just say take, and they're just saying something. For a puppeteer, you're under the table line with
exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you have to just stand up and say, right, I can't do it anymore because it hurts. Or if you think you've done your best take and you're not going to improve on it, I will often say that's it. It's only going to get worse from now on in. Yeah. But if you work with them a few times, they get used to your ways. But I think when I don't like to over rehearse with Hacker because it does make him worse. It's better raw, and the first take is always the best take with me.
Very impressive. Okay, I have to read it twice because I didn't quite.
It's always best to check.
It is really. Is the face bigger and wider on the new one?
It isn't, and it is. Basically, it's not. It isn't, but it is. Basically, the inside is the same because Neil uses the same patterns every time he makes the same puppet out of the foam. So basically the inside is the same. Well, the company who make the fur, every time you get Hacker's fur is custom woven for this puppet. No other puppet has this fur. It's custom made for Hacker by a certain company in America called NFT, National Fiber Technology. The people who do Chewbacca's fur. It is expensive. But each time you order a new batch, the fibers have gone a bit thinner or they've gone a bit thicker or they've changed, do you know what I mean, texture. So sometimes it looks different and fatter and more puffy than the last one. But it's not that it is, it's just the way the fur lies. So the inside's the same, but the fur will often be different because it's a year or something in between batches and it has to be custom woven. So it's never the same.
Yeah, interesting comment, and also he watches a lot to identify that he must be a fan of.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's after discount, but he's also asking how much will Bob Toad be on eBay. That's a popular question coming up.
It's a popular
there.
question. Bob Toad will be £250 on eBay.
And now you're not making 6, you're making 10 now, aren't you?
I might even make less. I might make 4.
Oh, that'd be dearer.
Yeah, I'll put in a free one of these with each sale.
Let's work. No comment. I'll tell you when I've heard my version. I'll comment on that one.
You'll love it. I'll send you it. I'll send you it this week.
I'll do a review of it.
Yeah, you love it. Any more questions?
No, not really. Apart from a wow off Tom, so he thinks that's too cheap.
Wow, that's not a question.
I know, it's a comment. NFT, I think they did the Teletubbies fabric. A comment.
Yes, I think they did. They do Chewbacca and the Wookiees from Star Wars. Yeah, they do lovely things, and it is expensive, but you can get whatever you want. You can get custom woven, any colours. They also did the new emu, the emu that was used in the CITV series in the 2005 or something, which Neil built.
Yeah, that was slightly different as well, I think, weren't it, Phil?
Yeah, it was. Well, it was Toby doing it, Rod's son. An emu wasn't really performed in the same way with a fake arm. I think he only appeared in the fake arm in 2 shots in the entire series. For the rest of the time, he was performed from below by Simon Buckley. So it wasn't really the same dynamic. It wasn't really the emu that you want, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there'll ever be the same dynamics, will there?
He was so good, wasn't he? Roddle was my favourite performer. He's such a good puppeteer. Underrated. Never hailed as being a puppeteer in the lexicon of puppeteers. He's the best, I think.
Yeah, if you study, if you look at him though, he was very great at what he did.
The best.
He
was the best because you believed in that character. You believed Emu was alive.
And so did he.
People were frightened of it because he was that good at it. Because he didn't know what was going to happen next. He just did. It was like a stream of consciousness. He didn't plan it. It just happened, and that was because he was brilliant.
I know somebody else like that since this chat. Been a deja vu there with.
Yeah, it's me, isn't it?
Yeah. In fact, I've never seen you two in the same room.
You won't. We don't get on.
Yeah. What's the weirdest thing? Your weirdest gig then, Phil?
Oh God, they're all pretty weird, aren't they? Doing this job for a living's pretty weird. So I don't think there's anything more weird than doing this job, really. I don't know, actually. I don't know. It's all pretty odd, isn't it?
Yeah. Any really funny moments that you're allowed to speak of?
God, no, I can't remember anything. I've got terrible memory. Everything that's gone wrong, a lot of the outtakes and things with Hacker have all been live on television. So they're all on YouTube. If you look up Katie and Hacker lolling or Lauren and Hacker, the laughter files, all those outtakes that we are just weeping with laughter were all live on the television. So they're not really outtakes because they happen live. But they're well worth looking up because I laugh. I mean, often I'm laughing and I can't do Hacker's voice.
Yeah. Has it impaired you big time at any point that you've been laughing so much that Hacker's just...
Yes. Yeah, it does happen. And then the gallery is shouting at you to pull it together, which makes you laugh more. So it just becomes an utter shambles. Again, always live. So they're all on YouTube. They all like really happened. Well worth looking up. I'll send you some links later. Funny stuff. Yeah. Nonsense.
Yeah. What a phenomenal career and a phenomenal job.
I've loved it. It's been the best. I've had the best life. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. I said job there. That's when you do something that you love doing, which obviously you do. You can tell.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a way of. Well, it is a way of life. It has to.
It is an all-encompassing existence. Yes. It's the only way I can look at it. Yeah.
I don't understand this one.
Go on.
I don't know if it's a typo again. Goldfish memory?
Yes, I've got the memory of a goldfish.
Oh, I thought it was a show.
It might be, but I've forgotten it.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
I need to get another bevy.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed this, Ian. It's been lovely, hasn't it? How long have we been chatting now?
Oh, 5 minutes at least. Got to be.
Feels like longer.
You would have, well, you might believe it, but it's gone quick for me. An hour and 37 minutes.
Lad, that's the longest ever, isn't it?
I know, I'm paying you by the minute. Yeah, keep it coming. Phil, there's probably questions I missed on there, so people, and America might not have woke up yet, so there'll be people in America post questions further down.
Well, I shall do it again. I'll do it again this in a few weeks if you want.
Awesome, and I'll keep it up there for people to see.
Oh, yes.
And I'll put up. But if anybody asks questions later, because sometimes when people see that something was on 10 hours ago, they still put comments down.
Oh, well, send me them and I'll answer them anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tag you in with a post so you can do that.
I've enjoyed this, Ian. Did you enjoy it?
Absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Big green factor. And as a fan of yourself and your creations and of Akka.
Thanks, Cocker.
And the Pound Shop boys.
And this fellow.
And what's his name again?
Pisstain.
Pisstain. That's it. Yeah.
It's not my fault. It's his name.
Yeah, I'm going to pick your brains after. I love his mouth.
It's a funny little mouth. I'll show it you again if you like.
Hello, my name is Pisstain.
He's great.
I'm a big fan of those sort of modes. They're quite expressive, aren't they?
Very good, very soft, very nice.
Yeah, lovely and flexible.
Aye. Any final comments to anybody out there, Phil?
I'd like to thank everyone who's watched this. I'd like to thank everyone who's sent me a question. I do appreciate them. Give us a follow on Instagram at Phil Fletcher Official. Give the Pound Shop Boys a follow at Pound Shop Boys. Give the Gonks a follow at We Are the Gonks, all on Instagram. And you can keep an eye on all the nonsense that I do daily. Hacker the Dog is at Hacker Dog on Instagram. YouTube at Hacker Dog. Do whatever you want. It's your lives. Don't think I'm telling you what to do, because I'm not. You can make your own decisions.
Adults can. If you send me the links, actually, in a bit of text, in the top, at the very top, so everybody who sees it will see all your links.
I shall do that, young man. I'll do it post haste.
I can edit it in. And
you're a good one.
Thank you very much, Phil. Really.
Cheers, Ian. I loved that. It was good fun. Thank you, sir.
We'll go in the green room because there's some champagne in there later.
I'll see you in there.
Virtual.
I think Keith Teeth's already in there. I think.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
He's probably got us a drink in.
Yeah, they've drank it, knowing him.
Oh, there. You'll have to get another one in then.
No, I don't know how to stop this. So I'll have to leave that with you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll go and get a drink anyway. So I'm going to log off live now.
See you, everyone.
Thanks. Great fun. Any comments? Put them down. Don't forget.